And we're gonna start recording.
North Wilkesboro Board of Commissioners meeting is now in session. Please rise.
And we're gonna start recording. Oh.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today, ask you for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please turn, face the flag. Chief Thornburg, would you please lead us in the pledge?
of the United States. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Please see. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We need to, on the closed session, we need to delete A3.
Okay, that's on the second, the last page on the back.
Yes.
Thank you. Any others? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the agenda, please. So, thank you, everyone. All those in favor? Anyone opposed, motion carries. Did I sign up to speak?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Under routine business, there's one item, A, approval of the minutes. Need a motion on approval of the minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons, second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Day. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries. Town managers report, Ms. Smith, please.
We have been busy little bees here at town hall. I tried to separate this into departments and things kept bleeding into one another, but I'm gonna start with utilities. We're currently working on an RFQ for the raw water project to have it bid. Because we finished submitting that paperwork to the state a couple weeks ago. We're contacting West Consultants about best practices for the stormwater issues on 10th Street. West Consultants is an engineering firm. We're gonna just speak to them about what we can do on 10th Street to remedy those stormwater issues. The elevated water storage tank has been filled and is in service. The water lines to the EDC are also in service.
Great.
2 projects off the list. I've been communicating with Matt Shoesmith quite a bit. He emailed me an update on the active flow project. He is waiting for a response from the electrical sub so that he can send the permitting to the state for that project. I'm really going to press him in the coming weeks to finish that so that we can get permitted to start. In planning, the code enforcement officer, John Gaines, is back. He's working with us again. We all know he's really strong and that he's gonna make some progress. Meredith has the code enforcement report if anybody's interested. Meredith and I are working on prioritizing and researching grant opportunities. We're trying to figure out what we can do in-house, what we need to do with the help of the COG, you know, essentially to try to take advantage of as many as possible, but also not burn Meredith up and have her be able to do her day job. The catch nets for the pickleball courts should be done maybe next week, hopefully. I'd say probably the text said this week or next week, so I'm gonna go with next week just for priority. The challenge course has been ordered, so that should be, I think, how many weeks out is that? Like 10 to 14 weeks out before delivery. The IT issues that I know we've all been having and really frustrated with. I had a meeting with Thomas. He's going to give me some quotes for switching our email platform. also dealing with some just IT issues in-house and kind of bring us, in my opinion, to a better, make us more efficient, essentially, and do away with all these storage issues. I did provide you all with a flash drive. If you want to take the initiative and pull all of your email, as much as you want, onto that flash drive, you can delete it off Network Solutions, but I would ask that you bring back that flash drive so we can put it in the vault, so that if we ever have a subpoena or anything of that nature, we can readily access it. Because we don't want to delete them, forever, but we definitely want to keep them. So that's why you all have a flash drive in front of you. And
What if one of the commissioners needed some assistance in that?
that is no problem at all. Just contact me. I'll get you somebody. That's no problem at all.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that too. And so, and then, if you all do not mind bringing your schedules / calendars, however you operate, to the agenda setting meeting, we're gonna go over the commissioner's calendar for next year. And so I just want to make sure that everybody is there to provide feedback, so that if there's any questions. And I think, my priorities over the next couple months, unless you all tell me otherwise, are really going to be to focus on a parks maintenance plan and a street maintenance plan. And then also to update the personnel policy and attempt to implement things that we haven't been implementing in the past out of that policy, that we really need to focus on and kind of shore up some of these loose ends. So those are going to be my primary focuses, aside from grant opportunities over the next, probably, I'd say 2 months.
So we'll have one meeting this month to go over these things. The agenda meeting is gonna be just one,
Monday.
Yes, yeah,
just one meeting, so I
Yeah.
can put that in the calendar and know the rest of the time is free.
right, yes,
It'll be comfortable. We got a lot.
yeah,
I can do the.
yeah. The agenda setting meeting is going to be pretty long, probably the next one, potentially.
Are we canceling the 22nd?
No, we're not canceling the 22nd. I was gonna say, is that what you were asking me? I'm sorry, I
No.
misunderstood.
I'm good.
Okay. We went ahead and had the wall beside the mural painted.
That's great.
And the mini splits have been ordered for those bathrooms. So those should be installed in the next, probably, I'd say month and a half. Just depending on staff time. And I think that is the last of my updates. So I just want to open it to emerging issues.
I got a question about
Okay.
that. What do we ever do about Miss McNeil's property over there?
Miss McNeil's property, we scoped it, but the camera was not great. So we hired an outside organization with a better camera to go and scope it. And they're supposed to be sending us those digital files so that we can see what's going on underground. I think actually they were supposed to arrive this week, but they have not arrived yet. But that way we can figure out what we need to do moving forward, if we need to tell her what the problem is, just so that we can react accordingly. We don't want her, we want everyone to feel heard. And then also we want to do, if we need to do something, we want to do it.
Right.
Right. So we hired an outside company, which we did pay for, and we notified her that we were going to come and do it. But we hired an outside company with a better camera and, I guess something about the types of pipes we needed a very specific type of camera. So I'm staying on that, is I guess the short version of that. Now emerging issues.
A couple here. Where do we stand on the audit?
The auditor has come and gone. He is working on it. Connie has contacted Sharon at the LGC. So far, I don't have a completion date until the auditor sends us our contract. But as soon as I do have one, I will let you know. As of right now, he has come and done the work he needed to do in-house, and he is working on it out of house.
Also,
maybe start putting a little plan in place for our after first of the year retreat.
Yes,
That's
one of the things we'll be talking about at the agenda setting meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
And this is to Taylor, were you able to do anything to kind of get the concerts on the deck, kind of saved it all for next year?
I have been emailing back and forth with a couple different booking agencies and people and looking into figuring out the best plan of action.
Okay, is it looking promising at all, because we're so late in the game?
We're actually not as late as you think we would be.
Okay,
So there's still prospects.
is Winter World still on board with working with
I
us?
have not heard back from Window World.
And then the last thing that I have, Holly, is, I know I've spoken with you, but I've also spoken with several of the firemen. They're going up to see the truck next Wednesday.
Yes, they're going to see the truck next Wednesday. I can't believe I left that off.
Oh, that's
And
good.
so.
Oh, yeah, the 6th.
They left.
They left.
Today.
Yeah.
When I talked to them, it was next Wednesday, which is tomorrow, so, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
So it must be tomorrow, but anyway. So, and there's been a little bit of change on my part for this. What I truly wanted to do was a heavy gauge brass plaque with the notoriety. I had talked about having it hand engraved, but in talking to the hand engraver that I use in Rocky Mount, his time frame at this time of year may be more than I'm willing to deal with. So in my industry, there is a growing faction of deep relief laser engravers, where it actually will remove, 0.3 to 0.4 of a millimeter and will make it almost look like hand engraved. So it would still be a deep relief, long-term proposal. So as soon as they get me the size and the mounting method, which is either screws, prop rivets, I don't know, they were gonna, I talked to Kenny and he was gonna specifically ask them about it, so I will get that. I will get that in the works either with the laser engraving or the hand engraving, but it will be probably at least a 7/8 to a 1 millimeter thick heavy gauge brass plaque that will have deep relief engraving that will develop a patina over time, which will make the letters actually stand out more. So that's, I've seen it done and it's pretty cool. So that's what I've got going there. I'm done.
Do we have any other emerging issues we want to discuss today?
We need to buy him on Christmas.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Well, next month.
Yes, that's the plan. We,
And keep the same colors of the lights.
Yeah.
Let's not hop around to
yeah,
a blue ball here and a green ball here.
I'm with you. If anybody's driven by my house, they understand that in my opinion,
Color.
Christmas lights should be seen from space. And the town of North Wilkesboro should be no different. So next year, the goal is to be seen from space. Yeah. So we're gonna try to stick true to color scheme, but we definitely want to more for sure. And we actually did a post, kind of a debrief with everyone that was involved with the light up downtown, where we kind of went through what worked, what didn't work. Taylor has a long list of changes for next year. And not just changes for that night, but changes for making it feel more like Christmas, in the town in general. So, yes. So after that night as well. Right.
Anything else on emerging issues? If not being, move it along. A resolution for the Crystal Keyers Town North Wilkesboro tax collector. Ms. Smith, why don't you go ahead and just prep the board?
So,
And I asked.
I'm as you all are probably aware, the personnel payroll, position here, Trish just retired. Trish was the town tax collector. This is, we don't collect taxes in town, so this is more of a title, a placeholder than an active duty. Historically speaking, this role has gone to the payroll personnel person because of separation of powers and internal controls. The finance officer cannot be titled the tax collector. Therefore, we would like to recommend Crystal Keener be appointed as the tax collector, which you all would need to take action on if you would choose to do so.
They used to give that people title, shoot, HR. Is
Yeah,
that our HR?
so Crystal is our HR and moving forward, she and I are gonna be working together to work on the personnel policy a lot. And I'm hoping, I know that she has a full list of tasks already, but I'm hoping that she will embrace the opportunity to change some of the human resources policies and the implementation, because I think a lot of where things go awry is that we set a policy, but we don't implement or enforce it.
And when I first came in, I felt like the paperwork was kind of all over the place, that everybody knew everybody's business.
Yes,
And that shouldn't be happening because the
Absolutely.
organization is large.
absolutely. I think that we definitely have some leaky faucets, as I like to call them. And policy enforcement, hopefully, will kind of shore up some of those things. And then also just, knowing how to do things, right? Like, how do I go? Where's my holiday time go if I don't use it? When do I get it? All of those things that aren't necessarily spelled out for us upon hire. We really need to have avenues to access all that information pretty readily. So,
I assume that Crystal is willing to take on this item.
yes, sir, she is. She could not be here tonight because she has a prior engagement, but she, if so appointed, she will be at the next meeting for a swearing.
So, Mr. Mayor, would like to make make a motion that we adopt the resolution that's in our agenda packet to appoint Town of North Wilkesboro tax collector being Crystal Keener, currently as payroll personnel person for the town of North Wilkesboro.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Do I have a second, please?
Second,
Thank you, Ms. Day. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. There's no opposed, motion carries. Thank you. There's one other item, I'm just gonna touch on it briefly. The board at our last meeting gave a thumbs up to the idea of some beautification for the Jack and Valley marketplace. And I'm gonna meet with the fellow this week and he's gonna have a drawing and there'll be things, one thing was mentioned was hanging baskets underneath the overhang that are self-watering. Sales to help with the sun, which are very, very reasonable on the sunny days. And we have some drawings and more to go by. That's just something that's in the works and we'll cover it the following meeting. More, hopefully we'll have it ready by the
Yeah.
22nd meeting.
Yeah, we're, Taylor is getting some quotes together for materials and things so that we can kind of see how much this will cost us. And from what we're seeing so far, it's pretty reasonable. A lot of the things that we want to do down there that will be lasting enhancements to the marketplace.
Good.
And it also will kind of finish out, the initial drawings that I saw of the marketplace really had all of these things anyway. I think, so, kind of finish out that plan, right? Complete it. I love a completed plan.
yeah, we don't want it to be just a fun.
Yeah,
Right,
that's what it
right.
looks like now.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we see those plans?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'd like to see them.
yeah. Real quick. There,
I also think with what we're about to discuss, that some of the cost offsets for the marketplace. As I mentioned last time, you could have some private sponsorship of some of the plantings. Just
Yeah.
like they do down at the Greenway,
Right.
that there would be citizens of North Wilkesboro that might be willing to, through some type of memorial significance, be willing to help defray some of the costs of this plan.
All right, I'm gonna show you real quick. This is actually an adopted plan from 2014. This was all about the marketplace and it's on our websites through the planning department. We've got a ton of adopted plans that we need to work on implementing. We've talked about this numerous times, but sunny, no trees, concrete, it was a parking garage. So I believe a group came and talked about doing some signage. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, we're working on that too, by the way. That is gonna too.
Okay, sorry, you guys can't see it. But yeah, there's signage is one thing. Some low landscaping to soften up the wall there. As great as street trees would be, I think there's too many utilities, but like I said, smaller landscaping options. If we want to do trees inside the marketplace, there is a lot of concrete we'd have to drill through, like multiple feet, because it was a parking garage. So we're
So
figuring
we can do containers.
that might be easier
We
and
could-
cheaper.
Large containers, or we could theoretically cut out, say,
Some
2
sections.
parking spaces.
Yeah.
And plant in those 2 parking spaces.
Have some
Yeah.
vegetation.
To have some
Flowers.
mid-sized vegetation.
And then these are the sunshades, and I believe this middle picture is the most cost effective because you literally install a pole.
Yeah.
We'll check wind zones with the building code, but then you would have the shade. You could do like triangles, different shapes, different colors. Yeah,
That's what,
We are colorful people.
yes.
I know.
Those banners do not need to be bad.
No. And you can switch them out because the UV light will fade them. So every few years, do that.
would like them to be the type where we can take them down
Yes.
seasonally, so they don't have to stay up through the winter months. So
Mhm.
that hopefully they'll last longer.
It depends on what type of material we buy too.
Right, exactly. But luckily, there are companies that are experts in all of this and can help us, which is where Taylor is looking right now.
And then if we want to do the trees, my recommendation is to follow this and do tree wells. So you can see the dirt, you dig down and you have an area for the root system and drainage, and that's where it gets expensive. But that is something we could look at with street trees too.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of this stuff, when the week I started, a commissioner called me and I put a Post-it on my computer that says, do it right the first time. And I think one of those things is, some of the stuff has already been done, but moving forward, if we're gonna do things, let's do them in a manner which they won't have to be redone,
yeah.
so that's.
Yeah, that space is it's a great space.
I think it's,
But it's just so stark and barren. This is really gonna make a big difference.
Yeah.
and Connie has worked really hard to find me some funding that we could reallocate towards street beautification and the marketplace.
Great.
And I think she's found me enough to reallocate to where we could really get this plan in place in the next 6 months.
Great.
So,
The rest of downtown too, hopefully.
hopefully, I don't even want to say that out. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm definitely some movement.
We're doing we need to look at our sidewalks too,
Mhm.
downtown. Thoroughly.
I was gonna say that there are, Rome wasn't built in a day, and North Wilkesboro isn't gonna be rebuilt in a day.
And it didn't get like this overnight.
And it didn't get like this overnight, but I'm trying my best to set priority for staff to address some of the things that I know have been bugging you all for a long time.
Lord, we're moving forward for a change.
With the sidewalks, we might do the river curve, just here and there. We don't have to river the whole place.
Mhm.
We put strange points in there, which will be structured.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're, the self-watering planters they're expensive, but they're not. But we could find the money to buy them and then never have to worry about watering. I mean, over, and that staff time saved.
Mhm.
Right.
Used to be driving water and.
I'm with you. Crystal used to, yes.
She worked her butt off on those things.
And it's one of those things where the self-watering type, you know, when you look at the cost versus this cost of staff time to water, when you start weighing those things back and forth, you start realizing why people buy self-watering planters from local municipalities, you know. Anyway, okay, sorry.
And we've,
If we're gonna do
we've got,
trees, I know it sounds crazy, but just, what about grass or even that fake grass like they have at Burkdale?
I was gonna say, we're definitely,
there's another whole plan we
Yeah.
can look at. I pulled this up for y'all to just
Yeah.
look at real quick, but there's another whole plan that is for our whole downtown. Let's implement it. Y'all have done a great job of implementing a good portion of this, but we need to, like Holly said, finish.
finish these
This-
projects.
And it's a 12-year-old plan, so it probably might need a little bit of refreshing and tweaking, but it's got everything in here from trees to parking to signage. I mean, it's the whole enchilada, like, let's go. So that's what we can talk
Out
about.
here,
Yeah, and we just need to finish it.
out there.
Yep.
And I know that financial constraints are what prevented us from finishing it. But we, yeah, you know, where there's a will, there's a way.
If we can afford what we want to. Yeah.
Yeah,
We can do it in phases.
we
Yes.
can do it in phases, and we just really need to make the commitments to finish.
And we've said that for years. We'll do it in phases.
Yes.
Yeah,
And y'all done a tremendous job with like 6th and Main and 9th and Main, so
Yes.
we've done it, now we need to do 10th and Main, like we just
Right.
need to do those core intersections.
Keep it running.
Yep.
yeah, we just need to continue on the momentum that's already there.
For what it's worth, having some trees and stuff down there might make it sound better at the concerts. You
Oh.
have that huge wall reflecting sound off and it would absorb some.
Good shape too.
Yeah.
Good shape. Looks lovely. Okay, anything else, sir? We'll go ahead, we are gonna have a closed session. Sponsorship, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Did you-
yeah, what? The sponsorship policy.
Yes, I did. I apologize, Mr. And thank you, Mr. Parson.
It's okay.
We got that one gap for you.
I hope you all had time to look through the sponsorship policy. I'm gonna go through. The concept behind it is to provide. To provide a method for offsetting for underwriting the cost of some town services, whether that's facilities or events or, moreover. So, and to protect the public trust. So just some of that, I don't know, I assume you all had time to look it over, but just some highlights, it goes through the definition of sponsorship, of course, one of the key things I wanted you all to look at and pay close attention to was the authority levels to solicit and approve sponsorships. The authority level, this document says that for a gift over $250,000, you all need to approve it. It also says for a gift under $250,000 that I can approve it, but I still have to seek y'all's approval. It's not like I'm just gonna run out. Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's not like I'm just gonna run out but for the purposes of and say, hey, will you give us $250,000 and we'll take it from such and such business. I'm gonna run it past you all. And then for the department heads, 125,000, and they also need to consult me. Part of this policy is essentially to keep us from stepping on one another's toes. For instance, I had a department head who was talking about getting a gift from a certain organization in town. Well, they didn't realize that another department also wanted a gift from that organization. And we need to prioritize what we want so that we're not asking the same organization for 2 or 3 different things. And, cutting our feet out from under us because they gave us 12,000 when really we wanted 50 for something else. So hopefully this policy will prevent things of that nature. Also, it goes through some types of organizations that we won't take sponsorships from, tobacco products, sexually oriented products, alcoholic beverage companies, Things of that nature. I looked through many other towns' sponsorship policies to try to hone this in to where it would be, appropriate for us. And hopefully you guys are happy with it, and if not, if y'all have any feedback.
I liked it. I like that you kind of made it simple and hopefully we can move it and get it implemented quickly. I was very frustrated when it came to us before, and month after month I would ask about it, so let's not drag our feet on it.
Well, if, I wanted to post it on the website so that the public could look at it. So that we could get any comments back we needed, and then if you all are happy with it, we could move forward on it at the next meeting as a resolution.
Does this require a public hearing?
No, it does not. I actually consulted Dan, so it's because, well, it was great.
This meeting needs to act on the board, just.
Has to make sure that you look at it and kind of, and that you all understand, what's in the scope. As far as, say we're soliciting for Smoot Park, as far as particular, the method in which we'll recognize sponsors at Smoot Park, that's gonna be on a case-by-case basis. Smoot Park's gonna be different than, say, if we did something for like a playground at Memorial Park, or if we did, a fire department or something of that. All those things are gonna change. There's not really a way to set a policy for recognition. Well, there is, but it's very convoluted, so I don't think it's necessary in our situation. Yes.
You say you will not accept money from alcohol companies,
Yes.
so from time to time, we get donations from the ABC board for alcohol sensors and different things.
I'm not
That's
sure.
a town entity.
I was gonna say, people, yeah,
And time to time, they do have grants for underage drinking campaigns. Where they do have things like that. I'm just saying, I don't want to cut things like that out when they come along.
we can definitely discuss that more, for sure.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah,
I just don't
no,
want to
I mean,
completely cut that out.
that's what
Most
this-
things do come along for
Yeah.
underage drinking campaigns.
Yeah, no.
And there are licenses.
No, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the alcohol companies themselves, like
yeah,
Budweiser,
Budweiser.
like that, have grants for underage drinking campaigns and things like that. I just don't want to cut things like that out when we have those opportunities.
Well, this is what we're here to do, so we'll definitely dive more into that. Maybe we could change the language.
Right.
Yeah, no problem.
I got one question.
Okay,
I read through the policy. I like it.
Okay,
One
good.
question.
Yeah.
If someone want to give you $300,000, is that tax deductible?
um,
'Cause I didn't read in here nothing about taxes.
They should check with their.
Okay.
CPA.
yeah, I was gonna say that is more on them.
Yeah.
That is for the individual donor rather than us. But yes, giving to a local government is tax.
Yeah, then, dude.
Yes.
We'll take your check.
Yeah.
They'll do it right here.
Yes.
That's good.
I was gonna say, or.
Yeah, I already.
I was like, okay. Yes.
Okay, is there? Anything else? Commissioner Parsons called away ahead and our issue. So we can go ahead and, well, I'm not adopting another mistake, go ahead and hear a motion to go into a session.
I make a motion, we go into closed session.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna read this and just say.
That sounds good.
The ES 143-2218-11A5 to establish or to instruct the public body staff or negotiating agents concerning the positions to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price, other materials, terms of the contract and post contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease, or the amount of compensation of material terms of an employment contract or proposed employment contract.
So very
Thank you. One second, please.
Second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor? Any opposed? Now, closed session. You want to retire to the little room or stay here? Yeah.
We can retire to the little room.
Okay.
So I was gonna say, do y'all wanna take a break since Michael had to go?
Let's do that. Let's take a
Great.